You're walking down a hallway. Nothing unusual. Until your foot almost lands on one of the lines between the tiles. At the last second, you move it. Not by much. Just enough. One step later, you do it again. Nobody asked you to. Nobody taught you to. And if someone stopped you right now and asked why, you probably couldn't answer. You'd just say, I don't know. It feels better. At least that's what it feels like. Your brain just solved a problem that never actually existed. Most people think they're choosing where they step. They're not. By the time you notice you've avoided the line, your brain already made the decision. And it made that decision using a system that's far older than tile floors. Older than cities. Older than roads. Older than humans. Because the system making that decision wasn't built for hallways. It was built for surviving uneven ground where one bad step could actually matter. The line isn't dangerous. Your brain just doesn't know how to stop treating tiny imbalances like they might become one. And once you understand how that system works, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Right now, even while you're sitting perfectly still, your brain is performing thousands of calculations every second. Not about numbers, about you, where your shoulders are, where your knees are, how much weight is resting on your left foot, whether your head is tilted a fraction too far, whether your body is leaning without you realizing it. Scientists call this system proprioception. Most people have never heard the word, yet they rely on it every second they're awake. Close your eyes. You still know where your hands are. You still know whether your legs are crossed. You still know if you're standing straight or leaning slightly to one side. You don't have to look. Your brain already knows. That's proprioception. It's your body's internal positioning system. And it has one obsession. Balance. Not perfect balance. Just enough symmetry that your body feels right. Your brain is constantly comparing your left side against your right. One shoulder against the other. One leg against the other. One foot against the other. Most of the time, you never notice these comparisons happening, because they stay in the background, until something interrupts them, like a perfectly straight line running across the floor. When one foot lands directly on the line, and the other lands comfortably inside a tile, your brain notices something you probably never do. Not danger, not pain, just, that wasn't quite right. The signal is tiny, almost too small to become a conscious thought, but it's large enough to influence your very next step. So without asking you, your brain quietly corrects it. Not because you're solving a puzzle, because it's closing a loop it accidentally opened. That strange feeling has a name. Psychologists call it the not just right experience. Researcher Meredith Coles has spent years studying it. She found that the vast majority of people experience these moments. Not just people with obsessive-compulsive disorder. Almost everyone. The urge to straighten a crooked picture. To tap something again because the first touch felt uneven. To adjust a shirt sleeve that's already perfectly fine. To move one foot because it landed on the line while the other didn't. Here's what's important. This isn't a switch. It's a dial. Everyone has it. For most people, it's barely noticeable. A tiny pull towards symmetry. For others, the feeling becomes much stronger, strong enough to interfere with everyday life. The behavior itself isn't unusual. Only the intensity changes. But here's the twist. We usually think childhood games created this habit. They didn't. The habit came first. The games came later. Think about it. Step on a crack. Break your mother's back. Versions of that rhyme exist across English-speaking countries. Different cultures have their own versions too. Europe, Asia, Latin America. Different words. Different consequences. The exact same rule. Avoid the lines. Those games weren't teaching children a new behavior. They were giving an old instinct a story. Children were already noticing the lines. Already adjusting their steps. Culture simply wrapped that instinct in a rhyme. The superstition wasn't the cause. It was the explanation. Which means when you avoid a crack as an adult, You're not replaying a childhood game. You're doing the same thing that inspired the game in the first place. And once you notice that, you start seeing the pattern everywhere. Sidewalk cracks, parking lot lines, crosswalk stripes, wooden floorboards, even patterned carpets. Any repeating pattern with visible boundaries quietly pulls at the same system. Neuroscientists studying walking have found that the environment beneath your feet changes the way you move far more than most people realize. Your stride length changes. Your foot placement changes. Your balance adjusts, often before you're consciously aware of any decision at all. By the time you notice your foot avoided the line, your body has already finished making the correction. That's why it feels automatic. Because it was. This matters for a much bigger reason than satisfying your curiosity. For years, obsessive-compulsive behaviors were often treated as something completely separate from ordinary experience, as if there were two kinds of brains. One normal, one OCD. Research like Meredith Cole's suggests reality is more complicated. The difference isn't kind, it's degree. Nearly everyone experiences these quiet pulls toward order, balance, and symmetry. Most people's brains whisper. Some people's brains shout. Understanding that has helped researchers think about OCD with far more nuance and far less stigma. You're not the only one taking advantage of this instinct. Designers have been quietly using it for decades. Casinos, for example, often avoid clean, predictable floor patterns. Instead, they fill their carpets with busy, irregular designs. Not just for decoration. Because when the floor is visually chaotic, people naturally slow down. They look at the ground more. They wander more carefully. And they spend more time inside the building. Hospitals often do the exact opposite. Physical therapists helping patients recover from strokes or injuries frequently use floors marked with evenly spaced lines or footprints. Not because the lines have magical healing powers, because your brain naturally wants to place each foot cleanly inside a target. The same instinct that makes you avoid stepping on a crack can help retrain someone's ability to walk. Exactly the same wiring, used for an entirely different purpose, which makes this whole thing surprisingly strange. The line between two tiles has never been dangerous. It has never chased you. It has never injured you. It has never mattered.
Oh no! What do you want? Leave me alone! Help!
And yet your brain still treats a slightly uneven step as something worth correcting. Because the system making that decision wasn't built for modern buildings. It evolved on uneven ground. Loose rocks, tree roots, steep hillsides, places where one careless step really could mean injury. That ancient system never learned the difference between a dangerous surface and a harmless pattern. It's still running, still scanning, still correcting, doing exactly what it evolved to do. So the next time you catch yourself avoiding a line, or feel that tiny satisfaction when both feet land perfectly inside two matching tiles, don't dismiss it as a strange little habit. You're watching an ancient piece of your brain quietly doing its job. A job it has been doing for millions of years. Long before hallways, long before tile floors, long before anyone thought to turn it into a children's rhyme. You're walking down a hallway. Nothing unusual. Until your foot shifts ever so slightly, landing perfectly inside the next tile. It was never really about the floor. It was your brain chasing a feeling it has chased for millions of years. Not perfection, just balance.